One of my all-time favorite dinosaur games, or just games in general, is Path of Titans. I think it's a fantastic game with really fun gameplay. I mean, I know that varies from person to person, but me personally, I like it. As well as like really cool maps and a very cool roster of diverse dinosaurs, along with other prehistoric animals. It's an incredibly fun game. Of course, they're constantly working on it, and there are always new things to come. There are way more animals that will be coming in the future, new game modes, things like that. It's an awesome game, and it's really fun to follow along with it. But one of the things that definitely sets it apart from other dinosaur survival games is their mod support. Basically, the fact that they can just say, if you want to make a mod, you can get it approved and it can be added to the game through community servers. And that is incredibly awesome because then it basically means that you always have something to look forward to when it comes to this game in between their new additions. Like it always feels like there's a mod being worked on over here. There's one that's been developed for a while over there. There's one that just was added today. It constantly makes the game feel fresh and just, keeps expanding the roster depending on the server that you play. I mean, it's crazy. Like you get new flying creatures, you get fantasy creatures that aren't even prehistoric animals, you get Cenozoic creatures. There's just so much to love about the mod support in this game. And so, of course, I figured it'd be fun to take a look at 5 of my favorites that were very hard to choose because I have so many favorites, but I managed to chip it down to just 5, and that's what we're focusing on. Now, again, there's a lot that I had to leave on the cutting room floor, such as the Primordial Tyrants Tyrannosaurus Rex. I love that mod with all my heart, but of course I made a video about it, so I figured I'd kind of give that little slot to another mod, essentially. I'm also a simple creature, and my judgment of these mods doesn't necessarily come from gameplay, like what new abilities they bring to the table or anything like that. For the most part, it comes to their overall model, to their even something as simple as the colors and the pattern, the sound design, things like that. Just the way, all cosmetic things. That's my favorite part about these mods. Chances are, if I have a favorite dinosaur, then I'm probably going to love that mod. Take, for example, the Pachyrhinosaurus mod will be coming out soon. I guarantee that will be one of my favorites because I love Pachyrhinosaurus. So, like I said, I'm a simple creature. But let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at these 5. The first 4, and I didn't realize this when I was picking it, but the first 4 were all done by Primordial Tyrants, the same ones who did that Tyrannosaurus Rex mod that I mentioned earlier. They do very high quality. I didn't realize that I picked 4 of theirs, but I do realize that they also, they're one of the most frequent when it comes to releasing mods, so I think it was kind of inevitable that I was going to have a lot of them that they add. But their mods are usually very high quality and do fit a huge standard. But we'll start off with the very terrifying Maip. Now, Maip is a very cool addition to this because, for one thing, it's kind of an interesting addition because the Megaraptorids, which is the family of dinosaurs that this belongs to, are very mysterious. A lot of times when we find their fossils, they're extremely fragmentary, so we don't have a lot that we know about them. We just know that the majority of them did have long arms with impressive claws. Something that is, of course, present in the Maip here. They also gave it kind of like the arrowhead type head, basically, something that seems to be common in Megaraptorids, and they really kind of made it terrifying, especially with the sound design. I really like the hyena giggles and things like that. Things that probably aren't too accurate to our understanding of non-avian dinosaurs, but definitely do kind of fit the style for what this mod is going for. It also has a quilled variation that I'm a pretty big fan of because I like things like that. It gives a very cool flair. All in all, I think that this is a very high quality mod that I really like playing, and I just love hearing the screams in the distance when I'm playing as another dinosaur. It's like, oh no, it's time. But next up is a Cenozoic creature, that being the Kalenkin mod. This mod is also incredible. Very high quality. I like the skin variations that you can give it. The overall build and just animations of the Kalenkin are fantastic, especially with all of the emotes and the clicking of the beak, something I'm a huge fan of. I love it on the Quetzalcoatlus, another one that I unfortunately had to cut out. But all things round, man, this is just an incredible mod. I love seeing it run around. I especially really like some of the patterns and colors that you can give it. and the attention to detail, such as the raised toe claw. After some new recent discoveries of terror bird footprints, it seems incredibly likely that, much like their modern day relatives, terror birds did have their innermost claw raised off the ground, and they likely used it to pin their prey, which also reminds me that its eating animation also looks fantastic, where it uses its foot to pin whatever it's eating, while it uses its beak to tear off pieces of food. Very, very cool stuff. I really love it. After that, we have the Dilophosaurus. Now, Dilophosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs. It's a very cool dinosaur, very different, of course, to Jurassic Park's interpretation of Dilophosaurus. It was a lot bigger, all things considered, but I'm sure that many of you know this already. The Dilophosaurus in this looks so flippin' cool. This is going to sound weird, but it just feels like a Dilophosaurus when you're kind of running around, especially with the kind of variations in the skin, choosing the different variants. You get like a thicker build, you get a feathered build, which is very cool. Of course, feathers are for the most part speculative on Dilophosaurus. There is a lot of reason to believe that Dilophosaurus did have feathers, but I won't really get into that right now. And probably the most important thing, mainly the namesake, is its crests. You get a little bit of variation when it comes to the crests. It's likely that Dilophosaurus had huge crests in life, and you do get variations that look like that, as well as one that's kind of like broken down a little bit. It looks so cool, and the brighter colors that you can give it, I love that stuff. It just looks fantastic. And then after that, we have the Argentinosaurus. Now, of course, the only sauropod that we have in the base game is Amargasaurus, which is a dicraeosaurid, which means that it's a relatively smaller sauropod. It's not like the titanosaurs that are just so incredibly impressive that usually people think of when they think of dinosaurs. But Primordial Tyrants did add a Argentinosaurus, which is one of, if not the largest sauropod to ever live, and by extension is the largest land animal to ever live. It looks great here. Of course, Argentinosaurus is known from fragmentary remains, but they gave it the basic build of a Titanosaur, which definitely matches up. I especially really like the head shape, and they of course include it with osteoderms. I feel like osteoderms included on Argentinosaurus are common. I know I saw it in Prehistoric Kingdom, so I feel like that's kind of like the general consensus. Of course, we haven't found osteoderms for Argentinosaurus, but other Titanosaurs have been found with osteoderms, so maybe that's possible. It's hard to say, but either way, it's hard for me to see Argentinosaurus without them, and they look fantastic here. But it's just a slow-moving sauropod, and you just love to see it in a dinosaur game. Definitely the biggest dinosaur on the server, and when you see like a few of them kind of like walking around, it just looks so majestic. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Inostransavia, one of my all-time favorite prehistoric animals. Now, this mod was done by Divine Ports, which of course is different from Primordial Tyrants, but they of course provided a high-quality mod in my opinion. One of the first saber teeth, that's often how Gorgonopsids are referred to. The saber teeth before it was cool to be saber teeth, essentially. The design here looks really fantastic. It has a very good basic Inostransavia build, as well as really cool patterns that are presented. But most of all, I just think it's really cool that it's here. It's a Permian animal, just like Dimetrodon, another one I had to cut out. But adding a Therapsid, I think, was just so fun, and when you see it running around right next to other dinosaurs, it's just so really fascinating to see. So most of all, I just really like that it's here more than anything else, and I think it's a fantastic mod. By the way, these were not in any particular order. I probably should have said that sooner, but these are just some of my 5 favorites, just some of my favorite mods out there. If you guys wish to see me talk about more Path of Titans mods, be sure to let me know, because I'd love to talk about them more. There's just so many other mods that I'd love to get to. But that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.